Back to Daybreak here on Citizen TV. We like to start the week off with some inspiration, some motivation to get you through the week and back again. Welly Odendo, how are you doing?
Well, I'm well. How have you been?
I've been good. It's good to see you. It's been a couple weeks. Around. You've been seeing me around outside your church.
I've been seeing you overlooking us.
Well, you know, Nikoyi town, what do I say?
I can see.
So this morning we're going to be talking a little bit about staying in the fight, keeping the faith and not giving up because, you know, life can hand us all types of cards and sometimes it's just easier to say, you know what, I'm done for now. So that's our discussion this morning, is staying in the fight and keeping the faith. Remember, if you have questions or comments as we are talking, you can tweet at Citizen TV Kenya, at Joey_Muthengi, using the hashtag Daybreak. Now, when we talk about staying in the fight, I'm a person who doesn't like to fight. You know, I'd rather be at peace. But why do you think it is that we use that metaphor that life is a battlefield, and you know, why are we always fighting?
I think the way life, based on how it was designed, it's as though God designed friction so that force has got to be applied for there to be motion. We sometimes, when there is grease and when friction has been reduced, we call slippage. We call you easily slide, and it's hard to stay solid. The reason why this thing is here is because there are frictional forces holding it. But for it to move, there has got to be force. And so when we talk about fighting, is overcoming those static forces that have been designed to make sure that things remain in place, and for them to move out of place, there has got to be force. Now, when it comes to success, success is moving from one particular either level or position to another better level or position, because I've always said this, the mind was designed to move and seek abundance. So every time our mind is being attracted to abundance. But what is hidden from the mind is the amount of force required to overcome the gap between what it has to what it seeks. That entire distance, that's where the force, because there are static forces that are intending to make sure that you don't break to that limit or you go to the next place. And so it just has got to be, it's I think a function of design. So the more forceful you are, the more static forces you're going to overcome, and the more static forces you overcome, the more dynamic and the more abundance you're going to find yourself in.
So in essence, this fight that we're fighting is pushing us forward.
It's pushing us forward. Right. Because friction acts backwards. And so to move forward, that force that is acting backwards is helping you to move forward. It develops our capacity, it matures us, it takes us out of the emotional state where we tend to think that emotions and reality are the same. It's not the case. Emotions could be indicators from the environment, but they're not the ultimate reality, because in the midst of difficult emotions, there is still a new reality, and the actual reality can be created by how you think and how you rise above the negative emotions that you're feeling.
Right. And when we talk about, you know, battling life, we're talking about, you know, some people are battling loved ones, you're battling your finances, you're battling your job. I mean, it can get a bit much once all of this is combined, right?
In context, success is very overwhelming. Sometimes when you look on the road and you see somebody driving another car,
a better car,
you think, oh, that guy is having the best time of his life. He appears to be having the best time of his life, but he's also trying, maybe if he was to be given an option between being in the kind of space that he's in, people wanting to take advantage of you, people wanting to take you out of business, people wishing you that your car breaks down and it doesn't stay long on the road. Just rising above the negative tides of life, you come to discover that it becomes very overwhelming. And so mental fitness and what I would call the mental fitness of a person is what makes this person stay in form in relation to rising and keeping on moving in the midst of these negative tides. Because you'll be surprised, people have already set a limit for you. They look at you, they've set a limit. And so anytime you challenge that limit, they feel you're challenging their control over you.
Wow.
And when people feel challenged, what do? They become aggressive. And that aggression of people trying to bring you back to the limit that they had set for you is what begins to create and to put you to the test whether what you wanted in life, did it come from the inside out or from the outside in?
That's powerful. Now, is it a case of what you resist persists when you talk about, being battled in life? Because sometimes it just feels like you're being battled from every single angle, every possible angle. You're not just battling one thing. Everyone is sort of coming at you. Yeah, why? How does that and why does that happen?
I think sometimes people fight you because they think you are either equal, because nobody takes on an opponent who is bigger than them. And so this is a growth challenge. If one of the ways to cease fights is to outgrow your opponents. And when you outgrow your opponent, ultimately or automatically, they know their place. If you keep fighting for the same space with somebody, they will keep feeling like we are equal and you are taking something that I think I can equally get it. But if you mutate, and I'll use that word, mutate or adapt, yeah? If you mutate or evolve and become a new thing, or you come up with new ways, or you multiply your profitability, or you increase your intelligence, or you increase if you mutate and then you become a different creature, now you'll be asking, how do I deal with this? It was easier when we were at par, it was easier when you were here, but there are some disciplines you have acquired, there are some strengths you have increased upon you. By increasing those strengths, automatically you have conquered your enemy. Wow.
So, I mean, it is sometimes it is a case of that you're battling a giant, like you're battling a corporation or you're battling, something that just seems so much larger than you are. Where do you start that fight and how do you approach that type of a situation?
For you to win any fight, you have to learn your competitive advantage. If they are bigger, you're faster.
Oh.
So speed could be your advantage. If you are bigger, you are stronger. So you have abilities and options that the smaller person does not have. And so everybody must, first of all, assess what is my competitive advantage in any fight. Yeah. Could it be speed? Could it be time? Could it be reserves? Could it be intelligence? Could it be talent? When you do an analysis of what are my competitive advantages and you begin to go with your competitive advantages instead of focusing on your enemy's competitive advantage, that way you're going to maybe find yourself at the top. The last maybe 10 years, we've seen an emergence of new faces in the billionaires of the world. And these were just people, 2005, they were in probably in a dormitory somewhere trying to work out the idea. Right now they're running global empires and all that. So you can actually see they were able to trade with speed. They had a good idea. They tried to find support and they discovered that sometimes the faster I was, because the bigger an organization becomes, the more bureaucratic it becomes in decision making. Yeah. And by the time a good idea goes through the bureaucrats to make it to the top where it can be executed, or the top comes up with an idea and works it through the culture of the system they have set up, you don't have all that layer in execution. So for you it would be easier and faster, but you have to know that by the time they pick up on what you're doing, you have to have covered enough ground.
Yeah. Yep. So find your competitive advantage. And I don't think enough people stop and say, what is it about me that makes me unique? Yeah. You just kind of feel like, oh, this is what life has made me.
I actually tell people the worst thing you can ever do in life is to be obsessed with your enemy, to be obsessed with your challenge, and to be obsessed with your mistakes. Yeah. Those obsessions, they will compel your mind, like they will force your mind. Every time you want to do something, you'll be looking at, oh my God, my enemy, or let me not call them my competitor, is this and this, she's hot, she's this, and probably you don't know, you don't have their baggage. And if you did a better analysis of yourself, you'll always discover everybody has something Everybody has something.
Okay.
Or you can find yourself obsessed with your mistakes and you've personalized failure. Akiana nilikuwa nafikiria, akiana nina vile mwanga. That's my problem. You're so hard on yourself, so you've personalized failure, so it becomes an obsession. The next time you are about to take on a challenge, you will shrink back and analyze, how did I? So the mistake will be the one setting the limit for your life. But that's not how it's supposed to be. This life was made mistakes.
Yeah. That's part of it.
Yeah, it's part of the life experience.
Yeah.
And building and rising up after a fight is even sometimes overcoming your need to feel sorry over the last mistake as fast as possible, so that you can get on with the fight. Because if you're going to win in this game of life, motion has got to be king. You have to keep moving, even when you don't feel like, even when you're coming from many setbacks, you have to keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion is mandatory. There are people, it's so easy to slip into victimhood, as you're talking about, dwelling on your mistakes or setting limits for yourself. You become a perpetual victim. Everything around you, watu wanakuonea, and just bad things keep happening, and you just, you become comfortable in that space of bad things always happen to me. How do you slip out of that mentality of being a constant victim?
I think it starts with perspective. Greatness is about developing mastery. And to be a master, you must learn how to operate in what I'd call like a Cartesian plane of success, because it's divided in two parts. On one part of success is the things and the things you can control. On the other side is the things you cannot control. Now, a master increases his areas of control. So for many of us, when things fall out of plan, when the uncontrollable appears in our very planned life, when the price of fuel goes up, and you had planned your budget for the month, so you go into this pity mode. Oh my God! And you are addicted to plans. And I think this plans are useless. Planning is essential. Meaning, the plan that you set for this month is only as essential if you're going to keep on planning. But if you set a plan in January and you want life to fit into that one plan, there is another plane here of the uncontrollable. And these uncontrollable elements are what makes masters. How do you respond to the uncontrollable things in life is what increases your control of life.
Wow.
If you don't know how to handle the uncontrollable things, you're going to shrink and you will never become a master. You will remain, if you're going to say that so-and-so is a general in the army, that tells you this is not his first fight. And probably not his second fight. If you board a plane and I tell you, hey guys, I've volunteered today, I've just graduated and I'm going to be taking the first flight from here to Boston, chances are you'll ask, would I want to go with a first time on such a long? I don't think so. I want somebody who has handled storms, somebody who has handled various airports. He has been on various landing pads. That is what, he has handled more uncontrollable elements. That is what makes you a captain. And so you have got to go for that. So if you want to shrink out or not shrink out or to sneak out of that pity mode, you have got to adequately anticipate uncontrollable things and begin to work more on how you will deal with the things you cannot control than the things you can control.
That's very important. Personally, that's one of my biggest weaknesses. I'm a planner. So as soon as things go off course, it cripples me a little bit. I'm just like, hold on.
My mom.
Let's come up with another plan. How about, I just enjoy planning. And I think a lot of people watching might, feel the same way. I want to look at Twitter because we have quite a lot of activity happening there. The Ngosi is tuned in, saying keep moving when you are in a battle. Richard Maithia also tuned in, so thank you so much for your tweets. Again, the hashtag to use is Daybreak. And we're talking about what it's like to stay in the fight. What about a person who's just so defeated? When you get to a place of defeat, where you just throw your hands up and say, I don't feel like adulting today. Can I have a pause? Can I take a break? it's hard to talk to that person who's in that space. It's easy, you know, once you've gotten over the hurdle or gotten over your slump, to say, you know, keep the faith, stay in the fight. But the person who's just right in the rut, you know, and just feeling like I don't have the strength to continue. How do you speak to that person?
I would say for a person like that, he needs to develop his emotional intelligence quotient. By that I mean that he needs or she needs to find a way to debrief so that they can declutter. After you've been in a fight for a long time, you actually become addicted or a friend to the fight. That sometimes, and I always...
when things are at peace, you're kind of like...
I need a fight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something needs to happen.
You start picking on the dog. Why is the dog not barking? And so
and there's just those people who are like just angry all the time.
All the time,
you know,
because they're so much tensed up from the last fight that they cannot easen up when the season of ease comes.
It's over, yeah.
And so I think you need to increase your emotional intelligence quotient, because what that will do is that you will find that I'm at a place now I need to declutter. I need to flush the system of either the fortunes or the misfortunes of the previous fight. Finding a good corner and having a good cry would help. Finding a good corner and finding somebody to talk with will help. Finding a coach to sit you down and help you declutter the soul will help, because our souls are like machines. They wear and tear. And when they've undergone that wear and tear, and you keep exposing it to battle, it will break. And when it breaks, it will turn against you. And when it turns against you, you will begin to be unable to deal with the next fight. Because you have to know this. Life is not a match. We are using the word fight. You know, matches are timed. Round 1, round 2, kling, ling, ling, 3 minutes, round 3, kling, ling, ling, round. But a fight is untimed. A fight is about who surrenders first.
Wow.
So you don't know how long you're going to be in your next fight. So you have got to always make sure that you have serviced your equipment so well that the next fight may take 2.5 years. I read, I was looking at Branson and how he went for a fight with BA, and BA was a big deal. Yeah. And it was not a 2-3 week fight and then back at home. It was an extended fight. It was a prolonged fight. And you have to, on one side you're fighting, and on the other side you're building, because you have to know this: wars don't build anything. Wars don't build. So you can just be in a fight, you are winning the respect of your opponent, but you're building nothing. So you have to have that mental and emotional, if you increase your emotional quotient, is the ability to know that I can hold a fight with Joey and still maintain my level of pervasiveness, whereby I don't allow this fight to interfere with other areas of my life. But if you don't get a good cry, or get a good coach, or get somebody up here to talk to, or belong to a community of friends that debriefs every 4 months, sharing the experiences, you're going to get into the next fight, and the enemy may not be like the previous enemy. Maybe the previous enemy saw you and they said, okay, let me just let you go. But this one, you may get a more committed bulldog. Yeah. And chances are you're going to come out without an arm. Yeah.
Well, we would hope not. But, you know, sometimes it could be that you're even battling yourself, right? That you are the person that you're fighting against, you know, and that can prevent you from greatness, or from, you know, moving forward. And all this time you thought all the attacks were coming from outside. But really, it's you.
Actually, all attacks come from you. You launch your own missiles and they land on you.
Yeah.
You launch your own missiles and they land on you, because our minds, as it loves abundance, but it looks for the most comfortable place to go and rest. And comfort is the biggest enemy of change.
Yes.
And change means I have to stop living as I have lived. There is going through something and going through change. You can go through something and come back the same person. But if you go through change, meaning it's our inability to let go of what we need to let go. That is why we keep on fighting, because you don't want to let go of our relationship. You don't want to let go of our lifestyle. It's comfortable. It's easier to be dating and dated and stressed than to let go and begin, because you don't know how to live without a quarrel. Because sasa better than niambie manze by the I'm dating kuliko nikiambia no lini, no we broke up. What? Now if you're breaking up at this age, when will you be married? Now you feel that will be a more conversation. So the fear of change makes you to feel like, hey, let me just be going through the roller coaster, because there is motion, but there is no progress.
This is familiar.
Speed,
it's familiar territory.
Very familiar.
I don't know what I'm going to go find out there.
And
at least this is a demon I can battle.
This is a demon I know. This one I know. At least we fight for 2 months and we do this. There's that also academically. You say, oh, you know, I flunked out of school, and you went for a motivational talk, you had attitude, and then now you get to a place in your life where actually you need to go back to school. And as you need to go back to school, you feel like, why should I go back? I've already made it without it. You have to know that you can go through a process, but that does not necessarily mean you're going through change, because change has got to do with the removal of things that cannot survive the heat. And that's what gold is taken through. That is what silver is taken through. When we are purifying an object, we are trying to remove it by taking it through heat. And so anything that cannot survive the heat at some point must be allowed to melt or to be pulled out, or else that will be the point of weakness. So change is that process of removing the elements of our lives that have kept us weaker, that has kept us dependent, that has kept us against ourselves, so that we are constantly opposing ourselves, and not just removing them, but replacing them and developing in us the qualities that will help us survive the next level. I used to be a softy guy. People probably, I'm a mama's boy, probably, because I don't see any excuse why anybody should move out of the house. But life forced and acts on you fast until you find yourself playing roles in society that I cannot be running to my mom every single time. Oh, mom, I'm this. Oh, mom, I'm this. I'm this. Because at this particular point in your life, you have to develop abilities that now you can actually function
on your own.
On your own.
And ultimately, change is supposed to propel you forward, right? So you're not just coming back the same as you were. Now, what about people who are fighting for things that aren't worth fighting for? You know, you're just just upset and just, fighting for something that probably isn't serving you in your life.
And that's what I say. If you become obsessed with fighting, you will never stop to assess, what am I fighting for in the first place? And must it come through a fight? Sometimes surrender is the best win, is the best way to actually win. When you just surrender and say, hey, it's not worth it. But if you're obsessed with fighting, you'll find yourself spending energy on things you can surrender, and actually by pursuing a higher goal, you can get that as a lesser goal. But because of the element that I want to win in the now, because if you're going to get into the fight, you must be futuristic. You must ask yourself, this thing I'm fighting for, does it gain value with time or decreases in value with time? So that I don't start a fight with you over something that 3 months from now will be totally useless, baseless. When you sit down and look at it, you'll be asking, why are we so tired in October? What was that you're fighting about? So you have to see, do I have the perspective of time, so that I know before I get in a fight with you, if I fight with you, I must be sure that 3 years from now, whatever we are fighting for will be worth more. So it's better me putting in the fight now. Talk
about how important it is for people also just to remember how far they've come in this fight, because sometimes you lose perspective of that, and you fought so hard to get to where you are, and then one day you just you're giving up, not remembering that you've faced these fights many times, you've won these battles many times. So just
I think what happens to people after they have fought for something and they get it, you get into the vanity of getting, because the actual role of fighting was not getting, was growing. And when you get into a fight and you've achieved so much, it gets to a place whereby you feel the fight took more than what I got. And so it starts to feel, and that's why people get to the top and begin to be casual, begin to be empty, because they're now at the top. You worked so hard, you put in the hours, and now when you're there where everybody's seeing you, they're looking at you and they're wondering, oh, you must be really, really happy. You must be. And you are so empty because everything was left outside. By the time you got to this spot, or you got into that office, or you got into that car, everything that mattered to you, the ability to feel the sense of achievement and whoof, I'm there, evaporates very fast. It's just like when you buy your first phone, a new phone, and the first
You're
2
excited
weeks,
for it.
you're just on it. Able to check your SIM, able to check your picture, able to check, and then after 2 weeks, it just becomes normal. Before long, it falls down and cracks. No, now actually on your screen, it becomes a part of you because the thrill depreciates. And so I would like to tell that person that you have to know that my objective of being here was not as much what I got from the fight, was how much I grew in the fight. And if I can learn to grow before the next fight and to see the value was growth, not the getting, then I'll be able to sustain myself in a new level without picking the addictions, because as you go higher in life, you get to a boredom, because you find the higher you go, the fewer the people there. So you start getting that you are here, the person who's at the same level is there, the other one is somewhere in South Africa, the other one is somewhere in France. So you begin to see, so what do people at the top do? The idleness of the top and the boredomness of the top, and looking back and seeing, I thought this thing would really give me that. You stop appreciating yourself. You stop investing in yourself as much as you did, because now you are there and you don't have a new there. So this is the there. So,
right, so we're here, so
we
now?
are here, so now what? So now it's eating and dining and making merry. But you have to create that new there. And to create that new there, you must learn to also grow when there is no fight, because growth was the objective of a fight, not just getting. Yeah.
It's the actual journey.
It's the actual journey.
Final comments to someone watching, just in terms of appreciating the whole experience, the mistakes, you know, the good and the bad, because you know, at the end of life, we're going to have a lot of battle scars, but those aren't necessarily something that we should be ashamed of. So final comments on that.
I would tell a person that, first of all, self-love is the most important thing. The reason why people fight you is so that you stop loving yourself. And once you stop loving yourself, they have won. It doesn't matter whether it's a relationship, whether it's a career, whatever happens. When self-love leaves, you stop loving yourself, you've actually opened your heart and you've opened yourself to be attacked, to be victimized, and to depreciate in value. But if you keep appreciating yourself, you will appreciate in value. Wow. And I would tell that person that you don't have to have everything together now, but if you have the self-love, that self-love will birth self-determination. That self-determination will propel you further into your destiny. So I would tell you to have a positive relationship with yourself. Keep and maintain and check your self-talk so that you don't become the harshest critic in yourself. You have to learn to find a way of affirming yourself and telling you, yes, I've made mistakes, but I'm not the worst person on the planet. I'm not this. Or maybe the enemy may have something that is actually true. I have to also learn from people. I cannot just be saying, oh, people beat me because I've got greatness in me. Everyone has stupid in them, and maybe they're trying to beat the stupid out of you. And because you're so obsessed also with yourself, you can't see the stupid in you. So it's not about everybody trying to see, oh, I've got this greatness, oh, my gift, my gift. No, sometimes it's the stupid they've seen and they're trying to help you see it. It's only that their language or their graciousness in confronting it's not there. So also learn from the people, learn from the fight that, hey, what exactly are you trying to warn me? Maybe you're fighting me, maybe you have seen a point of weakness that you have hijacked to get advantage over me. But what if I look deeply and see maybe that point that you're fighting me about, if I can go and seal it up, it can propel me to my next level. So be a learner, be a student, have a positive, affirming relationship with yourself, and you'll be surprised that friction was made so that only those who have enough force overcome the static forces. Can move forward. Can move forward.
Yeah. Your social media handles?
Well, it's Welly Odendo. That's W-E-L-L-Y. Welly Odendo. That's on Twitter. That's on it's Twitter, but you guys say Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Our call lines for today is 0720536247. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for staying in this fight with me, Welly. This has been Daybreak. We've been talking Inspirational Monday here on how to keep the faith and definitely stay in the fight.